You're not getting rich in this field. So if that's the case, then this may be the wrong career choice for you. Just saying, right? So when we're looking at the power of the heart, especially in prevention, and the reason why I say that, when we look at the design of the heart, right? Mind you, my doctor is in psychology, but I'm not a medical doctor. But then I decided, being a research-informed practitioner, I looked at the design and the elements of the heart, right? 4 components that I love. When we think about, when we're looking at the design of the heart, the chambers and the connection, right? The heart has 4 chambers that work in harmony, symbolizes teamwork. The heart has a rhythm to it, right? Like we just closed our eyes and we felt our heart. We felt the rhythm that pulsates through our body. The rhythm pattern symbolizes a consistency that is required to build trust and sustain relationships in this work. Third, the dual function, the giving and the receiving of the heart, right? It takes and gives blood. That symbolizes the balance of working in this field and being able to give back. And then the connection to life and purpose. The connection symbolizes the purpose and the passion that you have to have within this work, right? And so I always tell my clients, and I'll share a little bit about my story as we jump into that. I tell them there's 2 important days in your life: when you're born and when you learn why. And that speaks to the idea of purpose. And some people, it takes them a while before they find their purpose, and some people may not have found it yet. But we all have a purpose for why we're here, right? Life is God's gift to us, and how we live our life is our gift to God. Amen. So what are you doing with that?
Amen.
Right? And so when we're lurking with that, you have to be able to understand your own why. And so to work in your purpose and to move in passion within that, because it's crazy, because we're all like-minded people. We're going to be here together. We're going to get real transparent. There may be some tears. There may be some opportunities to share, get to know each other, but you guys are connected, just as we are with our own heart. You guys just became about each other's heart. As we share and continue to go in this world, because the world needs more heart-driven people, right? Especially when we look at times right now. Times are always changing. Change is the most consistent thing in this world. Sometimes we like it, sometimes we don't, right? You can either get in front of the wave or behind it. However, you can lead the wave, and it takes agents of change to go forth and lead that wave. Yes. And that's what you're here to do. And it starts with understanding your own story and your why and your purpose. And asking yourself, as I'm doing this work, am I leading from the heart? Right? Am I off balance? If I am, let me tap onto somebody here to get rebalanced as I go forth throughout this conference this week. Right? Is my rhythm a little off? What's going on within me? Right? All my psych nerds out there, emotional intelligence. There's a lot of people that are emotionally intelligent out here, right? And so this is an opportunity for you to become self-aware and understand what's going on within you as you go forth and continue doing this work, leading from the heart and understanding your purpose as you continue to share the stories of those who cannot share. So as we look forth and continue, and we talk about why stories matter, right? I always say I'm a product of those who never gave up on me, right? My grandmother and my mother prayed over me, and to this day they continue. The 2 most important days, again, as I said, is when you learn why, and I learned why the hard way. I went from being homeless, I was sleeping in the car, I got kicked out of school in college. I had people say, people like you don't belong here. And then one of my most famous authors, right, James Baldwin once said, the more educated you become, the more enraged you become. Right? Let me say that again. The more educated you become, the more enraged you become.
Talk to him.
And so as I began to work back to get into school and become educated, I worked in probation, right? Working with youth, at-risk youth, and kids, minority kids, and seeing kids in chains and handcuffs. The more educated I became, the more aware and angry I became. Seeing kids walking like that. Having kids who I helped change their lives go back into communities that weren't ready to change, and then being called saying said kid was killed. So I knew I had to do more. because I then started to feel that fire within, right? James Baldwin always said, you know, God gave Noah the rainbow sign, no more water, it's a fire next time.
That's right.
And so within that, a fire started to accumulate, right? It started to fester, right? I started to tapping on to people, other leaders like Dr. Godin, and that fire started to brew. And so as I started to become more comfortable with who I am and started to learn and grow, I got back into school. I did everything from selling water, collecting cans, got back in, graduated, then I went on to get my doctorate, right? And so as I always remember the old African proverb, if you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, go together, right? And so I learned to tap on into others who helped me grow to become the man that I am, right? I always tell people my story. I'm a product of a single parent household raised in South Central LA by my father. And I always put emphasis on that because there's a huge emphasis on the absentee father. Mm-hmm. My father was never absent. He always raised me with the idea, if it is to be, it's up to me. And that's the idea that I go forth in the work that I do. I teach young men and I teach people, young foster kids, probationary youth, people who are at risk, and I also work in mental health too, right? If it is to be, it's up to me. If you don't learn anything today or throughout this conference, I want you to take home, if it is to be, it's up to me. And that is the purpose and the passion behind my why and the work that I do. Everything that I do, I help lead with that. If it is to be, it's up to me. And so as we continue to go forth, I want you to remember leading from the heart. And what does that look like for you? How intense, and I want you to get uncomfortable. Allow yourself to feel that. It's okay to not be okay, especially in these times right now. There's a lot of uncertainty in the world. Some of us financially, right? There's a lot of things going on that there's some uncertainty, and it's okay to not be okay. And there's space for you to ask yourself, what do I need? So as we continue, I want to pass it to this young, amazing young lady. Oh, I'm going to pass it to Dr. Godin. So pass it back to Dr. Godin. And I want to thank you guys for allowing me to share as we talk about ourselves.